The following video is going to be how I compost with little to no work. Hi, this is Robbie from Southern California, and I am back still against my wall like I was in the other video that I talked about composting in place. And there was a lot of great comments and questions, and I wanted to just touch on that today. I was out here working in the garden, and what I ended up doing is I grabbed my cell phone and my selfie stick and decided to take you with me on a little short journey and explain what is going on. As you know, I always compost in place. I do not turn, I just layer and I grow. Now, all my compost, everything I do, let's step back so you can see behind me, because these are tubs and they're all dying back. They're not looking good or anything. But boy, Gary and I figured we've gotten well over 100 pounds in these 6 tubs of squash and zucchini. Here's the thing. I compost in place cold. I do not do hot. There is nothing wrong with doing hot compost. I watched a guy on YouTube do hot compost, and he pulled his shirt off and he turned and flipped it and dug it up, and I thought, wow, I got exhausted watching him. I can't do that. At my age, I am not going to be schlepping around all that stuff and turning and doing all that. I am not going to do that. I am going to take the kitchen scrap out to the garden, and I am going to be putting them in my tubs. I know it works. I've been doing this now for quite a few years. It works really, really good. And I have been growing all kinds of food in my garden. I cold compost. My compost is alive. It's a living being. I shouldn't say that. It's a living matter. It is full of great microbes and earthworms and all kinds of different things that are breaking down all the food matter that ends up going in here. It's alive. Somebody asked me, do you water it? I do water it. I even water the ones that I'm not using right now because I want it to stay alive. Mine is alive. Hot composting is not alive. It kills everything. Everything is gone. If you've got plants that are dying of a disease, let's get to that because somebody brought that up. Yes, hot composting will absolutely get rid of the disease, and it will get rid of your insects too, because it's going to kill everything. My gardens really are not dealing with diseases. They're dealing with the everyday problems and issues that come when a plant is at the end of life. Even powdery mildew isn't a disease. If you compost, which I do all the time, powdery mildew, it's going to disappear. It has to live on that leaf. And once that leaf is gone, it just dissipates into the ground. But if you had a disease, let's say a citrus disease or something on one of your trees, throw it away. If you have any doubt on anything you're doing, and I've said this over and over, absolutely throw it away. I'm going to have to say that 80% of us in the United States have some sort of trash pickup. Maybe that's a little high. Maybe a lot of you don't. I didn't. Now they're forcing me to have trash pickup, and I have to pay for it, whether I put trash cans out or not. So the point is, you have to pay for trash pickup. If you have anything that you're in doubt about, toss it out in the trash. Absolutely. Toss it out. You don't have to compost everything. It's your garden. It's your containers. And that is the big thing on that. If in doubt, throw it out. I always say that too. Don't worry about the little things. Like I said, the leaves brown because of even weather. We've had so much freezing weather. We get up in the morning, a lot of times it's 30 degrees. A lot of your plants can't take that. So the leaves will turn brown and they'll die back. They'll die back because of nature. And that's perfect to compost. Weeds. Do I compost weeds? Yes, I compost weeds. But I tend to put most of my weeds on the bottom of new containers that I am setting up, because I don't want the weeds to grow in my containers, and they can grow. So if you've got a lot of weed seeds, let's say you've got foxtails, I throw that away. I do throw that away. Put it in the trash can. Don't put foxtails in there. I don't put mint in there. I would not put Bermuda grass of any type in there, because you can't get rid of Bermuda grass or St. Augustine. Anything like that that can come back, like I said, if in doubt, throw it out. Throw it away. all your food matter from your freezer. You look in the freezer and you find something and you don't even know what it is. Don't throw that out. You put that in your compost bins. If you were going to eat it, let the microbes and the earthworms take care of it for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Somebody said to me, oh, well, you can't do it. Or I shouldn't say that. Somebody said to me, well, it doesn't matter. You're in Southern California, so you can compost all year. I don't want to say exactly where they are, but they're in another area where they're under snow. I'm pulling things out of my freezer and I'm putting it out there. You can save it if you're under snow. That's perfectly fine. When the weather is right and the plants want to grow, the right microbes and the earthworms and everything will find it at the right time. Save it. Your food matter is gold, so you don't want to get rid of that. You want to save that. So put that out somewhere. Now, if you don't want to and you say, no, I want to wait till spring, wait till spring. It's just that you're throwing away such great matter that will just turn into soil of gold and you'll be growing all kinds of things. That's why I don't throw it away. The tub here, somebody asked me, do I have holes in the one I'm not growing in right now? Yes, you do want good drainage. Otherwise, it will just turn into muck if it gets full of water or just get mucky and soupy, and you don't want that. Remember, if it drowns, it's not going to be alive. So you don't want to drown it. You just want to keep it wet. So I would put drainage. Now, if you're going to temporarily save it and you're not going to wet it, let's say you just want to keep it a little damp and you want to wait till spring, then don't put holes. Move it later when you're ready and put it in your containers. So with weeds, I put weeds towards the bottom of the containers. When I'm growing, I put them on the bottom because I don't want to deal with weeds. Let me back up on that. Weeds with leaves like sow thistle and things like that, the leaves are fine. Compost that anywhere. It's the seed. So the weed seeds, you could either cut them off and throw them away or put them on the bottom. And then it will still compost down. And as far as sow thistle, this is sow thistle. I don't worry about sow thistle. I do compost the whole thing. If it grows in my garden, we eat it. It's edible. We put it in our green drinks. Certain weeds, I don't care about. This, to me, is a good weed. Cold? Breezy Best did it for me. Read what she wrote. She is now growing more food than she's ever grown. She started the method, I think she said last year, and she cannot believe how much food she grew. And she's been saving all year until she gets her growing season. And where is she? Alaska. I don't think you can get much colder than that. So she's the perfect example. It doesn't matter if it freezes. What matters is that when the time is right and the weather conditions are right and Mother Nature says it is time to grow, that's when you want to make sure that you have it set up and you have it ready to grow, because when it's right, it's right. You can't fool Mother Nature outside. Let me repeat that because somebody's going to go, oh, yes, you can. You cannot fool Mother Nature outside in the elements. Yeah, you might be able to fool her a little bit with a hot wall like this that stays warm. You might be able to grow extra things like we did. The squash grew pretty much, well, we're still in winter, but it's still growing and producing squash. So we're still fooling her a little bit, but you really can't fool her outside. That's not to say you can't fool her inside. You can't fool her in a greenhouse. Of course you can. You thermostatically control everything. You will fool her. But outside, if I go right now and it stays like 30 degrees and I keep throwing my compost out here and I throw more squash seeds, let's say I chop up the squash, I eat it for dinner, but I take all the seeds and throw it out here like I did, it'll sit. Like the tomatoes will sit. Everything's going to sit. But when their time is right, you get an explosion of life. They start growing everywhere. And it's amazing. And that's the point I wanted to make. The point is, it's your garden. If I was doing hot composting, I'm telling you, I probably wouldn't be gardening. After a year of that, I would be just exhausted and think, I'm not going to garden. I'm going to go to the store and I'm just going to buy some stuff and do that because I'm exhausted. My gardening method, for me, better be easy. Fun, yes, I enjoy it. It's relaxing to me, lowers my blood pressure. I know that. Had my blood pressure taken today, it was perfect. And the point is, I'm going to do it my way. I am not ever going to tell you how to do yours. I'm only suggesting and giving you thoughts, food for thought, on maybe different ways you can do it, where it will work out a little better for you, and it will be enjoyable. It will be relaxing. Maybe you do want to bring in the birds to eat some of the insects. Maybe you don't want to spray, but you know what? If you have so many insects and you have to spray, then you have to do what you have to do. Remember that. Don't let anybody put you down. You do what you have to do to make your garden easy. And that's the main thing. You've got to do what works for you. This works for me. It works beautiful. I'm going to turn around and get all this back in there. Those plants that look like they're all diseased and horrible, they're not diseased. That's not a disease. That's just, it's on its way out. It's at the end of life, and there's nothing wrong with composting that. So like I said, if you got tomatoes with some sort of disease and you're pretty sure it's a disease, then throw it away. Just make sure you don't throw everything away. Save some of the leaves. All these leaves are going to turn into your food matter, the growing matter for your food. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't know where you want to put it in a container. Make sure it doesn't flood out. You don't want it full of water. If you have a lid on it and you don't want to put holes in it, don't put holes on it. Just keep it covered. If you don't have a lid on it, go ahead and put some holes so it will drain, because no matter what, if it's not frozen, you still want it to be somewhat alive, so when you're ready to use it, it's going to be ready for you to use. And when I was saying all these containers with 4 inches of soil that was made strictly by kitchen scraps, that's not the right way, let's say, to do it. That's what happened to me because I didn't get a chance to come out here and put the soil in there. I was working and I was coming out here and I was throwing the squash from dinner in this one and that one. And then all of a sudden I go to dump, or I was thinking about dumping some broken down wood chips and maybe some potting soil or garden soil in here. And lo and behold, I got all these zucchinis growing. I didn't want to bury them. So I let them do its thing. I figured, they'll grow for a month or two, and then I'll top it up with soil. The right way to do it would be to put a good layer of potting soil on top, or garden soil, or soil of your choice. Or if you've got some good soil in your yard, use whatever you can find in your yard. It doesn't matter, because you do want soil in there. But I didn't have a chance. So they all started to grow without any type of soil being put in, just the soil they created from the food matter and the leaves I was collecting around the yard, throwing in there, and it grew. The point I was making was it didn't need the soil, and it didn't just last a month or two. These have lasted about 6 months. So that's what I'm saying. And they're still going, and they're still flowering. Look at this. I've got zucchini flowers down there. But the thing is, am I going to try to keep this in spring? No. I'm going to start thinking about getting these composted in, getting some more kitchen scraps in here, because zucchini, squash, they're all heavy feeders. So what was in there last year, they just sucked the nutrients out. Being that it was all kitchen scraps and leaves, there's so much nutrients, it may be able to go another year without anything else. But I most certainly will be adding to each and every tub, all the way around, behind me, back there. I will definitely be adding in at least a bucket from our kitchen that's got coffee grinds and eggshells and squash and greens that we didn't eat and anything that came out of the refrigerator, even orange peels. I put all that in there. Banana peels, everything like that, potato peels. I'm going to get at least 1 bucket around the size of that one into each one. And I better find the time this time to get a little bit of soil on top, so it doesn't have to work with that small amount of self-made compost. It was basically a point that you really do want to save it, because that breaks down into the best food. I didn't have to put any plant food out here. Didn't have to do anything but just hit it with some water and then reap the benefits out of everything that was growing strictly out of kitchen scraps and leaves. So that was the point I was trying to make. Was it right? I don't know. Was it right? It worked. But I mean, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. If it works, it works. So you do what you have to do on anything you want to throw away. Absolutely throw it away. You pay most of you, for trash pickup. So I would say most certainly throw away what you don't want. You have to pay for it. Let them take it away to the dump. But anything you know that's good, keep that, because that's for your benefit. And that's for your future growing, and that's the only point I wanted to make. So I hope I gave you some more ideas. Thank you, Breezy Best, for saying in Alaska you only have a few months of growing season and you can't believe the amount of stuff you're growing. Believe you me, I understand and you feel, because I can't believe how much I'm growing. And years ago, I did try to garden, and it was such a pain that I stopped, and we thought we weren't going to garden anymore, and now I would not stop gardening. I enjoy it. I love it. It doesn't take a lot of work. I only do cold compost. But like I said, if you want to do hot compost, that's fine. It is a technique. It's 2 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. Then you've got to keep that balance perfect. You've got to turn it. You've got to make sure there's air in it. You've got to make sure there's water in it. It will get to about 166 degrees, and you've got to keep an eye on it because it's like a baby. You need to really take care of it. With mine, it's dump and forget about it. You're done with it. It's basically just layering it and letting Mother Nature do her thing while you reap the benefits. So with that, have a great day. Thanks for all the comments and questions. And if in doubt, throw it away and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.